this is a really interesting week because it's so tomorrow, actually today is the last day you can add a player to your roster to have them be eligible to be on your team during the playoffs. Because September 1st, they got to be there, got to be on the 40-man roster. They can either be there on the injured list in the minor leagues, but they got to be on the 40-man roster on your team to be eligible for the playoffs, which means that there were a few teams put some guys on waivers. Now, used to, Brig, remember back in the olden days, they had the waiver trade deadline, which was usually August 31st, a month after the actual trade deadline. But now they did away with that. That's not a thing anymore, but they still have the waiver claim. Now, what does this all mean? It's very fascinating because typically you hear a guy is on waivers, it means that he's been cut from his team, designated for assignment, optioned outright, or whatever. In this case, that's not what's going on. So these guys are still on their team. I think Harrison Bader still played center field the other day after being put on waivers, right?
Yeah, but today he was just at the ballpark.
Well, right. So he was still playing because he's still on the team as an active, full active member of the team. So then what happens is if these guys are on waivers, they go through the waiver order, and it works just like on your fantasy team or your fantasy league, right? Where the team with the worst record gets first claim. So they go down the list and they say, okay, basically like the A's, did they put in a claim? No. Royals, I think, would be next. No, right? And basically what that comes down to is if the Braves wanted a guy and anybody else in the league put in a claim on him, they would not get him because they have the best record in the league. They wouldn't get him. So that's how that part works. If nobody claims the guy, he stays on his team as if nothing ever happened. We'll get there because there were a couple of them that happened to.
Yeah.
So, and the other interesting thing about it is the money side of it, right? Because if a guy gets designated for assignment, that's really exciting for some guys who can still play, right? Because then you can bring him in on the cheap because that team bought him out, paid out the rest of his contract. Then you can bring him in on a league minimum deal and he's still happy because he's getting all that money plus a little bit of money, relatively speaking, that you're giving him, that your team is giving him. So you can get a guy on the cheap. That's not how this works. This is like a trade where you're bringing him in, you're paying out the rest of his contract as it would be paid out normally. Okay. So that's how this whole waiver thing works. The Angels did not designate for assignment Lucas Giolito, Randall Grichuk, Hunter Renfroe, Ronaldo Lopez, Matt Moore, or Dominic Leone. They placed them on waivers, which meant that anybody else in the league could claim them and bring them onto their teams. It also means that Harrison Bader was not designated for assignment, nor was Mike Clevenger by the White Sox or Carlos Carrasco with the Mets. But these guys were all put on waivers this week, which I thought was fascinating. It's a fascinating list.
Yeah.
Because especially I don't. Yes. And here's the thing: is like you think that you would want to have that guy around because we talked on the big show this week about what Dansby Swanson said about a winning culture. That you can't just flip the switch and have a winning culture. You got to keep guys around and build the culture. And yes, Harrison Bader may not be coming back after this season, right? Because he's a free agent.
He is.
But try to get some momentum going in the off season. Get some positivity instead of guys being like, man, I cannot wait to get out of here.
Yeah. Right. Well, and Bader's a positivity guy.
Right.
So he is, and he's positive with the fans and in the fans' hearts and minds. He struggles a little bit at the plate as of late, and that's a little bit disappointing. But also, and he's been injured quite a bit as of late as well.
Yeah.
But he's still a terrific influence, I think, in the clubhouse and certainly with the fan base. So when they made this public, there's been an outcry from Yankees fans that, and it's split down, I won't say the middle, but there are two groups. And I think it's much heavier on the side of, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then there are the detractors who are like, okay, get him out of here. That's fine. The only reason that the detractors feel as strongly as they do, though, is because of the prospects that are going to come and fill the void left by Bader. And that is exciting. So
Right. Yeah.
bittersweet in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there are some people who are just like, just move on to the next guy who's going to be in for a while. And I understand that argument. So Bader did actually get picked up, as did Hunter Renfroe, by the Reds. I think that's a great spot for both of those guys. I think they're going to do really well there. Harrison Bader can grow his hair out and get his power back.
Yeah, exactly.
Good for him. Very
Yeah.
excited. And then Lucas Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, and Matt Moore all went to Cleveland.
Whoa.
That's really interesting to me. I like that move for
Whoa.
Cleveland. That's good.
Yeah, I
All
do
three of those
too.
guys. And then Dominic Leone actually went to the Mariners. Mariners picked him up. He was a
Sweet.
Mariner about 10 years ago and was
Hmm.
pretty dang good during that short time. I'm hoping he can catch some of that lightning in the bottle again and be another solid arm out of the bullpen for the Mariners. And then Carlos Carrasco, Mike Clevenger, and Randall Grichuk all went unclaimed. So
Yeah,
they
that
will
surprised
return to their
me.
teams as if nothing happened. I'm shocked nobody picked up Grichuk.
That's the one that really surprises me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, I kind of had, I can't remember if I said it here or if it's in a text message somewhere, but I said, I wonder if Grichuk has been benefiting from playing in Colorado this year.
Could be. Yeah.
So teams may have looked at his road splits and been like, maybe not.
It's totally possible.
So I don't know. It's been a really interesting week with with all these guys, especially with that laundry list from in Anaheim.
Yeah.
That is straight up the Angels just punting because they're just trying to get rid of that money for the last month of the season to save some
Yeah.
and maybe put that toward Otani in the offseason. But I think we talked about that, and I think that ship sailed.
That's over. Yeah, it's not going to
So
happen.